Good morning. My name is Raymond. I'm with REV'D and to my left here is Fred. We're here to look at his conversions of traditional gasoline cars to electric. He has an MG and a Porsche. Fred, what year is your MG? Or
it's a little bit of a hybrid is a good term, but not exactly the way most people think of it. It's a replica of a 1949 to 1953 MG TD, built on a 1974 Volkswagen chassis with a fiberglass replica body that was made in Fargo, North Dakota in 1988.
Oh my goodness.
And it was registered here in Texas in 1988. And so you can take your pick. And when I take it to car shows, it's kind of fun because basically what you're looking at is a German chassis with an American replica body. The motor, when we take a look at it, you'll see is made in Chicago. The batteries come from China. A lot of the electronic stuff comes from China, but it's in the spirit of British motoring.
Nice.
You know, it's a square rigger kind of clamshell fender car, and it's a lot of fun.
What is the typical expense to convert a gasoline car to an electric car?
Well, let me answer that in two sections.
Please do. Thank you.
To do a conversion, you've got to start with a donor car.
Okay.
And in both cases, I started with donor cars that needed a lot of work.
Okay.
So we did a full mechanical restoration on this one. Every bearing, tube, pipe, shock absorber was replaced. And so it's a full mechanical restoration. We did a full paint and body work job on this, the body. So the body work and fabrication and restoration was about $12,000.
Okay.
And then you add to it the cost of batteries, which in 2011 were pretty expensive.
Sure.
And the other electronic stuff, that's another 14. So we're in the 25 to 30 range.
Okay. So about the same cost as a brand new Nissan Leaf.
That's right.
Maybe a Chevrolet
And that's
Volt.
how I justified it to myself at the time.
And that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah.
Plus you've got style that.
Well, it's not, you don't see yourself coming and going
No.
in this car.
And you've done this twice, and have you I think you've also had other cars that you've converted in the past?
Yeah, I converted a 1960 Austin Healey Sprite. It's called a Bug Eye in the U.S., and the Brits call it a Frog Eye.
Was that a James Bond car?
No, it wasn't.
No.
No. I think he did a Sunbeam at one time.
All right.
But the little Sprite is a tiny little car, and I'd had it for 20 plus years. I mean, it's a great little car to bum around in. But I'm getting bigger, and I'm getting older, and it was getting harder to get in and out of, so I decided that, and it wasn't original anyway, had a later motor, I'd converted it to front disc brakes, and all that sort of thing. So I said, let's just convert this. Now that one didn't need all the body work and paint and everything else, so that was much less expensive. And I built all of the framework out of perforated steel angle iron that came from Office Depot or Lowe's, you name it. And all the time I spent with my erector set as a kid came back. And so you just bolt it together, you put stuff in it, strap it down, and wire it together, and it by golly, it worked.
This platform is it similar to a skateboard platform? I think you
It
told me
is, yes. It's the pan chassis.
Okay.
And when I found this, it was actually in the neighborhood. So I walked up to the front door and rang the bell, and a lady answered, and I said, is that car for sale? And she said, oh, my husband just sold it and they're picking it up tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
So I went on my way, and 2 weeks later I drive by, it's still there. So I knock on the door again. Lady says, oh, I'm so glad you came back. My husband about killed me when I didn't get your phone number.
Oh my goodness.
So we got this for practically nothing.
The first one fell through.
The first one fell through. And then I spent, like I say, about $12,000 resurrecting the mess that it was.
Now the back does that open up? Is that where the engine
That's where
is?
the motor is. It's a Volkswagen chassis.
Okay.
Yeah,
we open that
engines are gas, motors are electric. Yeah, we can open it up. And that's all there is to it.
Nice.
So it's a 9-inch DC brushed motor, a 1,000 amp controller,
Okay.
and it'll go.
And it says net gain motor.
Net gain motors.
Okay.
A guy named George Hamstra, cool guy. He's about our age and fully retired. He was one of the original Bell Lab guys that developed Unix.
Oh my goodness.
And got involved with electric drag racing. And they were using forklift motors at the time. And they burned them out regularly.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I mean, they just, plasma ball. And so he thought he could probably help out with that. And he engaged with a company called Warfield Motors in Chicago, who manufactured motors mostly for escalators.
Okay.
So this is a development of an escalator motor for drag racing. And most of the high-powered drag racers you see in the electric circuit are using motors like this one.
And what's nice is, of course, they can't tell off camera, but it's so clean. Do you get out here, maintain it, and clean it all the time, or is
No,
it just...
stays clean.
Sure.
There's no oil.
Right.
One thing about this British car, it doesn't leak oil.
Nice.
Can you imagine? The motor itself does have brushes, and they throw off some dust. So you get your Swiffer out and you dust it off every so often.
And then this is a fold-up convertible?
This is a fold-up convertible.
We can close this back up.
Sure.
Keep it good for the camera guy.
Yep. So
And then it looks like you have a RJ 240 charging, or is it 220?
this is 220.
220?
I got that for the Nissan Leaf, and it works perfectly with these.
And you had a Nissan 2011?
At a 2011
and a 16, right?
and a 2016.
So you've been dealing with electric cars for quite a while.
Yeah. And it goes back before that.
Oh my goodness. I heard way back over 100 years ago, first it was steam engine, then electric, and then gasoline. And I guess it was Henry Ford that ushered in the gasoline era and our addiction to oil and gas.
Well, interesting, you mentioned Henry Ford. Henry Ford's wife drove an electric car that had Edison batteries in it.
Oh my goodness.
And same problem we've had for years with batteries. They just short range and long charge times.
I was so surprised to find out recently, 5 years ago, that over 100 years ago, electric cars were actually more dominant
That's true.
than the gasoline.
That's true. And a couple of reasons for that.
Sure.
First, gasoline cars had to be cranked to start.
And people were afraid of that.
Well, it'd break your arm.
Sure.
You know, that thing would backfire and whang,
I saw an ad, even a woman can do it.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And they were city
Oh,
cars.
that's right. You had marketing in.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
They were city cars.
Yeah.
And the city streets were paved. Now, you still had to dodge the horse emissions. And they had tillers rather than steering wheels, so it was kind of clever. But for around town use, 25-mile range is adequate.
Sure.
And they only went 20 miles an hour, which was faster than a horse. And they were enclosed so that you wouldn't have to be out in the elements. And so they were very popular at the time, from about 1899 to about 1910.
And tell me a little bit about the Porsche.
Sure.
And is it Porsche or Porsche? I think we talked
I think you can go either way.
Okay. Tomato, tomato?
Yeah, probably the Porsche Club of America people would correct me either way, so I'm not going to call that one.
Okay.
This is a 1988 Porsche 924S. And it's kind of the bastard stepchild of the Porsche family.
Okay.
It was actually developed as a follow-on to the Porsche 914, which was marketed as a Volkswagen in Europe.
Was the motor back or front?
Front.
Okay.
And so it was the first front-engine Porsche.
Okay.
It was the first water-cooled Porsche. And the Porsche guys just said, no, that's not a Porsche. Well, it had an Audi motor and an Audi transaxle.
Which one did you convert first?
I did this one first.
Okay. So was this one much easier because you had the experience from this one?
Yes and no.
Oh.
This is very rudimentary.
Okay.
It has manual steering, manual brakes. It doesn't have any of the modern conveniences. This one has power steering, power brakes, air conditioning, electric windows, all of that stuff. And it gets more complicated and means more stuff you've got to kind of customize.
And you retrofitted, I'm assuming this was the old gasoline
This is the old gasoline port.
So now you just plugged in.
And so I put a J1772 plug in there.
Nice.
And it's a perfectly good place to put it. And in the back, we'll open the back of this one.
Good.
It's kind of, it had a tint that probably started gray and now it's kind of purple.
I see a hint of all the technology inside.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. And Fred, what is the size of the battery?
This is a 24 kilowatt hour pack, and it's out of a Nissan Leaf.
I recognize those battery packs. I've only seen them in pictures, but seeing them here in real life, it's exciting. And what's the typical range of a 24 kilowatt Nissan Leaf?
My experience with my Leafs was it's about 50 miles in the real world.
So that was the 2011.
2011. The 2016 also had the 24 kilowatt hour pack. It was about the same.
Okay.
And this one's about the same.
Now with this, is this weight about the same as the Nissan?
It's actually a little less.
A little less, so that might give you a slight edge on...
It could, and
extra few miles of
aerodynamically
range?
it's probably better.
Oh yeah.
But I treat my battery packs with some care, and I don't charge them all the way up, and I don't never discharge them all the way down.
Yep.
So once I hit 50 miles, I'm done.
Nice. And is this a big cooling fan?
Well, this is a charger over here
And they're all color-coded orange for the
high voltage. This is out of a Chevy Volt.
Oh, really?
And back there, that chunk of aluminum is a DC-DC converter out of a Chevy Volt.
Okay.
And the charger is liquid cooled. So I have a self-contained liquid cooling system in the back here for charging.
Nice.
So there's a catch tank there, there's a pump below it, and then a little cooler to keep it from actually what it'll do is it'll just slow down when it heats up.
And everything is immaculate, and you know, I'm assuming you get out here and dust it often and keep
Not really. No.
That's the nice thing. When we're dealing with a motor as opposed to an engine, we don't have that soot and grit and exhaust.
So
and were you going to open the front as well?
Yeah, let's open the front.
Is this rear-wheel drive or
This
front
is rear-wheel drive.
And how about the MG?
The MG is also rear-wheel drive.
Nice. Come back around. Ah, looks like there's more.
There's more stuff there.
Yes.
And I like to kid the guys at the car shows. I don't have dual carburetors, but I've got dual cooling systems. So this big silver block here is an inverter.
Okay.
The batteries are, of course, producing DC current.
Okay.
And this has an AC motor,
Okay.
a three-phase AC. So it has to be converted from DC to AC. And it also needs to be controlled. So over there, the little black box is a computer that basically takes the input from the throttle, which is attached to the accelerator pedal.
And what year was this, you said?
1988.
1988. So are we using an Intel 386 or?
No, actually that's an Arduino.
We've got an updated computer.
It's an updated computer.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Raymond with REV'D If you like what you see, please ring the bell and hit the like and subscribe icon. We'll publish these about once a month, and we look forward to our next adventure. Thank you.